everybody, welcome to the very hectic Transport Evolved studio. I'm Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield. Behind me is the wonderful Michael. He is going to be working in the background, editing video. Do not mind him. He's got lots of fun things to do. Michael, what are you working on at the moment?
Secret project with a Mercedes.
Secret stuff with a Mercedes,
Yes.
Apparently. I owe him some audio stuff, so we will be sending it his way shortly. The purpose of today's video is firstly to have a live stream and thank you all for the well wishes that you were sending my way. After my partner Kate was admitted to the emergency room earlier this week, she is fine. She is out of surgery. She had appendicitis. Her appendix had burst. It was touch and go there for a while, but she's better. Well, she's recovering. She's still on quite a lot of antibiotics and receiving a lot of the very best medical care at one of the best hospitals in the area. So thank you to those of you who sent the well wishes. Thank you to the other Kate Walton Elliott, for filling in while I was away. I am still kind of not quite with it. As you can probably tell, I'm quite tired and no makeup today and just thrown a t-shirt on. But we are here. We are going to be talking about all of the fun stuff that's been happening in the world of electric pickup trucks. And I'm doing a live show, a live stream, because I know a lot of you have been trying to message me privately, messaging the channel, asking how things are. I am here. There's Ghost making an appearance, Ghost to the Border Collie. And we have some things that are being moved around because of my wife's hospitalization. We were due to go to an event this week in California, which unfortunately, got scuppered at the last minute. Unfortunately, we couldn't send Kate Walton Elliott in my place because the tickets were non-transferable, and that would have required, you know, a fairly big spend on everyone's part. So we were unable to do that trip. But we will be covering it in another way on Friday's News Roundup show. So we'll let you know that it's the event that we were supposed to go to when we cover it on Friday or Saturday's show. I keep saying Friday's show, but it's actually Saturday's show when it actually happens. We are also delayed on some of the reviews. The EQS review has been delayed a bit because I have not been around, and obviously I do some of the audio work on the reviews. We've also had our Porsche Taycan review pushback because there was a problem with the car, the loaner car. If you watch Sunday Musing on the channel, you probably know that we were due to get it on Friday last week. We had a phone call from the company that provides us with the press cars saying it had got a cracked windscreen, so they couldn't bring it to us to drop it off. So hopefully we'll get that back. But as you can see, Michael's still editing the EQS in the background there. And just a bit of a plum here, a plug even. For those of you who are watching, if you are not a member of the Transport Evolved Patreon crew, or in fact a YouTube channel supporter, now is a great time to do it. You can help us by going to www.patreon.com/Transport Evolved. We currently have 1,248 people who support the channel via Patreon. We would absolutely love it if during this live stream we could increase that to 1,300. Help us reach that next milestone by heading to patreon.com/Transport Evolved. All right, so as many of you will know, the Ford F150 Lightning reviews are out. As somebody who is a Ford F150 Lightning reservation holder, I am extremely excited, extremely eager to get the F-150 Lightning. At the moment, whether we will actually buy it or not is up in the air because we've had 2 medical procedures in the family in a week. There was a scheduled medical procedure on Friday last week, and then obviously an emergency medical procedure this week. So we may not actually end up buying the F-150. It depends. It depends what our insurance company says. And if you are someone who lives in the United States, you'll know the horror of dealing with insurance companies. If you are someone who lives elsewhere in the world, then just be glad that you don't live in the United States, where the healthcare insurance system is a veritable minefield designed to trip you up and steal your money. But like I say, let's go through some of the reviews of the F-150 Lightning. And I think the most important thing to point out here, everybody who has driven the F-150 Lightning has been extremely positive about it. Cena has been positive. Tom Malogny, who did a review for Inside EVs, very, very impressed with it. There's a Border Collie thwacking a toy around on the floor. Electric, very, very impressed with it. Green Car Reports, very impressed with it. Autoblog Green, very impressed with it. And the general consensus is, despite this being a truck that's 6,500 pounds, 6,500 US pounds in terms of weight, it is, quote, as agile as a sedan with a low center of gravity. I mean, that was what Electrek thought of it. It had an impressive sprint time, not only from 0 to 60, but from 60 to 80. Tom Moloughney was very impressed by the way it handled. He was very impressed with the energy efficiency. CNET said some interesting things about the interior cabin, which I'll come to in a minute. But it seemed to do everything it was promised, and Ford again seems to have underpromised and over-delivered. Now, we didn't go to the F-150 Lightning media event in Texas, and we chose not to because of an editorial policy that we have right now. We don't want to go to states that are currently trying to roll back people's rights, and obviously there are quite a few states in the union right now that are trying to do that. As a company that believes in autonomy for everybody, we drew a line in the sand and decided we weren't going to actually go and attend that press drive event, and it was sad, but it would have been extremely hypocritical for us to. We previously earlier on this year said we weren't going to attend events in Texas, which meant we couldn't go to Fully Charged Live. For us to then turn around and go on a jolly to drive an F-150 in Texas would have been incredibly hypocritical, and so we made that decision not to go. That does not mean that we do not have interest in the F-150. I love the fact that as soon as I start talking about anything other than cars, the view count goes down. But we are what we are. We have to live. We have to live by the rules that we expect other people to live by, and it would be incredibly hypocritical if we did anything else. And I know that sometimes puts us in a difficult situation, but it is unfortunately what it is. So let's talk about the F-150. It's a couple of interesting things that came out this week. The official EPA figures for the F-150 came out. Now, the official EPA figures for the F-150 were exactly as we had previously thought, as Ford had said. You're talking for the extended range models, you're talking 300 miles per charge for the Platinum edition. The other extended range variants, that's going to be the Pro, the XLT, and the Lariat. We're seeing 320 miles per charge, which is obviously more than Ford originally said. If you are talking about highway driving and you're just going out on the highway, you are not going to get 320 miles, but the combined ratings, that's the combined rating is 320 miles for the extended range. Unless you're using the Platinum, then it's 300 miles per charge. Smash that like button, says Mark, like a piñata. Yes, absolutely. That would be wonderful if you did. Good to hear that hospital DEFCON has been lowered. I am upset if you look back too soon. I do understand you'll be worried about livelihoods with T. I am upset if you are back at work too soon, though I do understand you'll be worried about livelihoods with TV. Well, my job as the company owner is to lead the team, and K1 Elliott has been amazing and held the fort. She only works for us 2 days a week. I don't know if you guys know that, but she only works 2 days a week. And you consider the amount of work that she does in 2 days is just incredible. Ophir, thank you very much for becoming the latest Patreon supporters. We now have 1,249 people who are supporting the channel. So thank you very much. If you would like to become a Patreon supporter, help us get to 3,000, 1,300 even. Help us get to 1,300 supporters on Patreon by the end of the show, because that would be wonderful. We would really love that if you consider doing this. Kate's videos are favorite. Kate is wonderful. She is so relaxed and so wonderful. And the beauty is that Kate just gets to make videos. I get to make videos, but then I also get to be a boss, and I get to do all of the accounting and the payroll and talking to sponsors, potential sponsors, talking to car companies and all of those other things. And so when I do a video, I have to keep it kind of quite straight-laced because I don't have a whole lot of time to do other things. Thank you, Marty the Martian. Even though your avatar is Gurr, who is my favorite extraterrestrial sidekick ever. If you have not seen Invader Zim, you all owe it to yourselves to go out and watch Invader Zim immediately after this. It is funny. It is witty. It is one of the best comedy cartoon series that I think has been made in that genre. And Invader Zim is amazing, voiced by an amazing actor who is currently voicing a character in Hell of a Boss as well. So go and watch, because it is absolutely awesome. I can't be hypnotized. I can't help but be hypnotized by Kate's earrings. Yeah, I do. Kate has made me a pair of earrings, and I don't wear them as often as I should because they're actually 68,000 processors and 68K processors, and they are kind of heavy. I'm looking for them now. I think I may have moved them and put them in my jewelry box. But yeah, Kate absolutely rocks. Thank you, Truex. Things are getting better. Yes, my wonderful wife is still in hospital, but is on the mend. Her appendix was in a very sorry state when they finally operated on her late Monday evening. I saw her yesterday. I haven't gone in today because I want her to get better as Kate gets the other Kate. So there are two Kates, just to be aware of people who know. There's the Kate who you see on the channel. That's Kate Woman Elliott. She is a dear friend of mine. We have known each other for years. We are both Brits. And then there is my wife, Kate. We call her a Mary Kate. She is the one you rarely see on camera. She is the one who is in hospital. For the last couple of weeks, I didn't see your videos coming up, despite unsubbed and the bell is on. Make sure that your preferences for the channel are also set, and then hopefully we'll see those. All right, back to the F150. Like I say, if you want to support the channel, be sure to head to patreon.com/Transport Evolved. That is a dog. Having a lovely time, rolling on the floor. Ghost, I'm on camera, sweetheart. There we go. Anyway, right, back to the F150. So everyone was very complimentary about how the F150 felt to drive. Interestingly, CNET kind of was a bit of an outlier. As I said, Electrek felt it handled like a sedan with a low center of gravity. CNET said that it felt a little bit, it didn't feel as planted as some electric vehicles, but it was also set up, it was also a pickup truck, and so it handles the best of any pickup trucks. That's basically what everyone is saying. Handles extremely well. It is not a vehicle that you would necessarily want to wind through twisties at high speed, but then you wouldn't do that with a pickup. And that's not really what this vehicle is designed to do. And that's something that I think every reviewer was very fair on. The fact that this vehicle has upwards of up to 452 horsepower and 775 pound-feet of torque. It has a 4 to 5 second sprint time. The standard range is about 230 miles. The extended range is about 320 miles. But it can tow. And all of the videos that I watched, all of the reviews that I watched, mention the fact that it's a very competent tower. Not only can you carry more than 2,000 pounds now on board the truck. The specs were changed a couple of weeks ago. Ford was like, surprise, you can now carry an extra 238 pounds, I think, compared to what we said you could carry, which is great news. But also you can tow up to 10,000 pounds. Interestingly, Tom Mologney from Inside EVs said that he would recommend if you are considering buying one, you should probably consider getting the one with the max tow trailer package, because it has extra cooling circuits in the truck to ensure that if you are towing 10,000 pounds, you can actually keep that truck cool and tow with it. But nobody that I read or watched has said that the towing is bad, that the vehicle is not capable. Everybody was very complimentary. And, you know, cutesy to Ford, Ford had a lot of different trailers on display for people to try. Some of the trailers had, you know, things like water barrels or whiskey barrels on them. There was an electric boat, and I'm not talking about an electric dinghy. I'm talking about a full-size electric boat. One had an electric tractor on it for towing, and I think that was kind of cool, because kind of going, hey, it's not just pickup trucks and cars that are going electric, other vehicles going electric too, which I think is really important and really wonderful. At the same point, everybody was very complimentary about how well the vehicles towed. Now, there are no gears. Someone was asking about gears. I don't know who was asking about gears. I'm just going to go back here. Nobody did. So yeah, everybody who can add max tow should consider adding max tow. It's like an $850 add-on. I think it's available on pretty much any truck. There's Ghost again. There's no gears. It's just a reduction gearbox. There's no change. You can't change gears. Interestingly, Ford had an off-road course that people took the vehicles on. CNET was saying that, you know, part of the course that it took its vehicles on, its pickup trucks on, there was a section where you could try out the locking differential. You can lock the differential from the touchscreen display in the F150 Lightning. That means if you are in a kind of a tabletop situation where you've got offset wheels that are lifted, so diagonal to one another, you can lock the rear axle and it will allow you to gain traction. Because of how differentials work, obviously, if one wheel is up in the air and you're trying to apply a force to it without that locking differential, you're just going to spin the wheel that's up in the air. So being able to lock that rear diff is really important. You can do it electronically from the vehicle, so no needing to get out, no worrying about with hubs or anything like that. That's all really super duper. And talking about super duper, thank you very much, Anonymous Freak. You are too kind, as always. Good to see you here this afternoon with your wonderful Happy Mac with the Joker. Joker Happy Mac. For those who are interested, Anonymous Freak actually was the kind donator of the iMac that we have in the studio, the one that sits there that you see every week when we do studio videos, that people go, is it real? And the answer is yes, it is. It's there. We always have it turned on when we film, and we put up a picture that is relevant. So it is actually displaying that image. It's not superimposed on the top. The only time we had to superimpose something was when we did a video recently, just before winter left us, before winter sadly decided to go on and pursue other things. We had a Mac SE in place of the iMac, and that was flickering because it was an old CRT display. So although it was displaying what you saw on screen was actually what it was displaying, I did have to pull some tricks to get it to show a static image on the screen, because otherwise it would have just sat there and flickered the entire time. Hello, Mr. Ghost. What are you trying to do? There's a dog by my knee. Apparently I have something interesting on my jeans, and he is trying to lick it off. Clearly it's a bit of salad cream or something from lunch. Back to the F150. Copilot. Not Copilot. The hands-off Blue Cruise, which is available on the higher trim vehicles. The higher trim vehicles, you can get a Blue Cruise, and everyone who tried Blue Cruise, apparently there was a part of the drive where people could try Blue Cruise, and everyone again was very complimentary about Blue Cruise. This is a bored dog who wants attention. Ghost, Come here. All right. I'll throw it for you. He's just looking at me going, where was I? Blue Cruise. Tom Malogany pointed out that during his time with Blue Cruise, he was going around quite a tight bend, and someone pulled in front of him, kind of cut him up, and the truck kind of acted to avoid said person and went over slightly out of the lane he was in. And he said, the truck seemed to take a while to get back into its lane. That's as I understand it. But it's very interesting to see that he was, again, he was very complimentary about it. Other people have said, you don't have to hold your hands on the wheel. It's nothing, nothing bad in that regard. So that really makes things a lot easier. Anonymous Freak says, I see people complaining that the Lightning is too normal looking, a silly argument since lots of other people complain that EVs look too strange. Having a normal one is needed. And I think your point here is really is something that we really shouldn't lose sight of, and that is the fact that we need diversity in the marketplace, right? We are a huge group of people. We all have different tastes. We all have different needs, and expecting one person to go for one particular type of vehicle is both very impractical, but it's also not going to getting. We don't want homogeneity in the market. We want diversity. And as True Rex says, we don't need 20 companies making Cybertrucks. Let's leave Tesla to make a Cybertruck. Ford can make the F-150. Rivian can make its vehicles. We did also get some information about the vehicle-to-home system. As you will know, if you watched a video from us last week, the price of vehicle-to-home is now about just under $4,000. You can buy the hardware and have an electrician of your choice install it, or you can opt to use Sunrun, and then Sunrun obviously will charge you for the unit plus whatever Sunrun decides to charge you on top. If you live in Oregon, as I do, that is not a state that is supported by Sunrun, so I will have to buy it separately and install it. But I'm going to be really kind of straightforward on this, and I'm going to say we are not going to be able to buy that, and we're not going to be able to put it on yet because the coffers have been run a little dry for obvious reasons. His gnarly rolling reminded me of my border collie, says Sally Baba. Yeah, he loves this toy. He basically just rolls around and puts it in his mouth and just shakes it, and he loves it. So he really does. We need estate cars that can tow. Can't understand why we don't have any yet. No, the fact you said estate makes me think that you're probably based in Europe, in the UK. Towing in Europe is complicated, okay? Partly because of type approval. Getting type approval is an expensive process, and a lot of car makers are just ignoring the type approval setup. And they're going, no, we're just not going to bother because it's extra money. We don't want to go through the rigmarole of satisfying all of the requirements. We're just not going to bother. It's interesting because over here you regularly see cars that would not be type approved to tow in Europe towing, because over here, we have the Magnuson Warranty Act, the one that's that says, if you do something to damage your car, if your car breaks down and you take it to the dealer, the onus is on the dealer to prove that whatever you have modified to your vehicle is the thing that caused it to fail. And so you do end up with most car companies looking at, the tow bar that you put on and going, for us to prove that it was a tow bar that caused your battery to go wrong, or some other component that may or may not be connected. Apparently I sound off mic, so let me fix that. Thank you for someone for telling me this. Let me try that. Do I now sound on a better microphone? I do apologize. I had checked this before I started. So whoever that was, the Cake Meister, Thank you very much. To everybody else who told me, who didn't tell me, thank you for putting up with the poor quality audio. That was totally my fault. I do apologize. I think you can definitely get less pushback from truck guys with Lightning compared to car guys in the marquee. Keeping it looking like the F150 was smart. Yeah, absolutely. Much better. All dulcet tones. I do apologize, everybody. I feel terrible. Please cut me some slack, though. I am operating on very little sleep and quite a lot of emotion right now because I am without my partner. Okay, so I'm going to have a drink. Please excuse me. Also, shout out to the wonderful 45 Drives. They are not sponsors of this video, but they have worked with us in the past. And 45 Drives rock. They are the people who hooked us up with our storage solution that help us. So that's cool. All right. So so the other thing, although Rivian having a higher charge rate might make up the difference, you're right. Let's talk about charging, because this is something that was very important. Everybody pretty much said Ford didn't plan a charging stop on the route for us, but several people appeared to have deviated from the standard path in order to work a charging stop in, and good on them. Really good on them. It's something that I haven't done on a media launch before, but it's something I will maybe try and do in the future. Tom Mologney actually pulled off his route to go to a rapid charging station, and he was really keen to test the charging. He was originally going to only charge to 80%. He actually ended up charging to 90%, and I think he was charging for about 30 minutes, and he discovered that up to 80%, the charging rate was pretty good. He was seeing charge rates above 100 kilowatts. He said it started off about 140, then it dipped down, and then it ramped back up again. But around the 80% state of charge, it dropped off a cliff, and we're back to 30, 40 kilowatts charging that we used to see on the Mustang Mach-E. And my hope is my hope is that we will see Ford, and I'm going to predict that we're going to see Ford rolling out improved charge curves as the F150 starts to improve its numbers of miles on the road as Ford gains more information. Because remember, all of the F-150s are cloud connected. So the F-150 Lightnings are cloud connected, and that means that as Ford gets more information about how the batteries are performing, how the car is performing under stress, I suspect that we're going to start to see that ramp up. Adrian, you are an absolute star. Sorry to hear about wife. Hopes all well soon. Very surprised the Lightning higher trim doesn't come with faster DC quick charging. Still very happy Ford is pursuing this product line. So the Ford F-150 Lightning currently maxes out at 150 kilowatts. Now, if you want to have the fastest, or the quickest, as many of you will say, the quickest charging experience with the F-150 Lightning, you need to get the extended range battery pack. If you get the standard range battery pack, you will notice that battery will drop off a little bit sooner. It actually takes longer for the standard range F-150 Lightning to charge from 10% to 80% than it does for the extended range to charge from 10 to 80%. So the 10 to 80% on the extended range is about 44 minutes, I'm told, which is still pretty incredible if that is something that you are, interested in doing. So the other thing I want to throw in here is when you're talking about charging, Tom Mologney had that experience. He said it cost him about $9 to do the 26% increase in charge that they did. I think it was 26%. I'm doing this off the top of my head. Under $20 to fully charge the truck. Just think about that for a second. Under $20 to do up to 300, maybe even more miles of range. Tom was he wasn't hypermiling. He was actually driving it hard. He said he was driving it, he was accelerating, trying it out. He had a platinum, I think, in his review, and he saw 315 miles predicted at one point, which is more than the EPA range for that truck. So your mileage may vary. You may be able to get more out of it. Welcome to Tickets. Thank you. Becoming a YouTube member. Thank you very much. Welcome. As Anonymous Freak says, welcome. Don't forget, if you want to join up and you want to become a patron of the channel, Ghost would like it if you did too. He's playing with his sister now, who is a very old Labrador. He is he's very persistent. He wants to have some attention. So we currently have 1,249 Patreon supporters. I would love it if we could push that up a bit, especially after this week. I know this year has been terrible for me because every time I'm going to start paying myself again soon, then something else has happened and we've had to go back to the drawing board. So everything we're doing right now is kind of up in the air. We don't know if we're going to be doing the F150 because we won't know until the hospital bill comes in from last week. So, you know, we'll have to see. I'd love to get an EV, but the cost of one is literally a significant portion of what's left on our mortgage. So no, house first, Adrian, and then small steps, right? We all make a step every day to try and make the world a better place. Thank you, Ronnie. I just had a free consultation with my GP and an X-ray and some physio, all free on the NHS. So please accept this as a small donation to your healthcare costs. Thank you so much. For those who are wondering, any donations that come through today, any support that you give us through Patreon, Ko-fi, or through YouTube membership, all goes into the business. Goes straight into the business. And then I will pay myself every month. That's what I try and do. I haven't done it since November, but that's how it works. So that is, if you're worried about where is this money going, that is where it is going. Doug DeMuro implied you could jump an ice car off the 12-volt jump port. Any info on whether that is correct? Well, you can jump a gas vehicle with an electric vehicle as long as you have a powerful enough battery, or the battery in your vehicle is big enough, or your vehicle is running. And I would suggest that the DC to DC converter on the F150 Lightning is going to be pretty darned big. So yeah, I'm not going to say yes, it's possible, but I can certainly imagine it being a possibility. And yes, we will hear a yelp soon. River is very gentle. She tells Ghost on a very, very gentle basis when he's starting to get to a point where he's doing too much, and she will actually tell him off. She never used to, but she would do. I wouldn't connect thousands of off UK. I wouldn't connect thousands of dollars up to a rattler. I don't understand that bit. Oh, you're right. So you wouldn't connect your car, an electric vehicle worth a lot of money, to an ICE vehicle to start it. But as Anonymous Freak says, I jumped my kid's ICE car off a BMW i3 12-volt jump start points a few months ago. If an i3's 12-volt can do it, I have to imagine a Lightning's will. Absolutely. I see. Funk. Yes, absolutely. So the F-150 Lightning, the range, everyone was kind of complimentary about the range. I didn't hear of anybody getting a really bad range. Tom Malogany was getting well above 2 miles per kilowatt hour, which for a massive pickup truck is pretty darned impressive. If you think about that, 2 miles per kilowatt hour, that's pretty good. Some people were commenting that as soon as you put up a hitch on it, it gives you about 1/2 of the official range. I think CNET said that they were looking at about 60% of the rated range. And that information allowed me earlier today to go onto a Better Route Planner and look at a potential route that I'm going to be taking later this year. If, fingers crossed, we could get if we get the Lightning, then we are going to be making a long distance trip to Colorado to drop off a car for a friend of ours who needs someone to transport a car from Seattle back to Colorado. And we're going to be doing that. Welcome, Laura. Welcome, Laura. Good to see you. Thank you very much. All these wonderful people who are joining up and supporting the channel. Don't forget, if you want to support the channel, you can do it through YouTube. You can become a YouTube member, or you can go to patreon.com/Transport Evolved. And we currently have 1,249 active patrons. And this is a point where I guess I should probably remind you, if you are watching this and you are a Patreon supporter, please consider double, triple, and quadruple checking to make sure that your Patreon support is still active, because we have over 250 people who have signed up to be Patreon supporters who are currently not actually supporting the channel with the Patreon because their credit cards have expired. And while I love all of the amazing support that all of those people have given, it would be really awesome if those people were actually actively still supporting the channel with their Patreon membership, because the difference between the people who are currently active on Patreon and the people who think that they are still a Patreon supporter but have expired credit cards, it's $14,500 a year of different. That's the difference. So if everybody who had an expired credit card rechecked that and made sure that they were actually donating to the channel, Transport Evolved would bring in an extra $14,500 a year to enable us to do stuff. In fact, that would pretty much pay my salary, because I pay myself. In fact, it would have covered my salary from last year. It would definitely cover my salary for this year, because I haven't paid myself yet. But that would definitely cover my side of the salary, and that would enable me to do other things. I know someone will say in the comments, "Oh, you're begging," but we don't have a whole lot of advertiser support. We try not to do a lot of advertiser tie-ins on the channel, because a lot of people don't like that. They come to us because they want the content. They don't want to be advertised to. And I believe that everybody can tell when we're advertising stuff to you and we're just kind of not really in the ad. So we only advertise equipment to the channel. Sorry, we only advertise things to our audience that we personally know and trust and use. And that's one of the reasons why you don't see us advertising a lot of stuff that other YouTubers done. There's no Raycon earbuds on this channel. None at all. All right. It's probably only a problem if the DC to DC converter is active, which is pretty rare. I only jump off ice by disconnecting 12 volt first. Interesting. Now it's closer to delivery. How do you think the whole of market truck folks will take to it? Honestly, I think it looks great. I think it is a great thing. I think they are going to take to it really well. If it performs, if it can tow, if it can actually give gas trucks a run for their money, then I think people are going to love it. I think people who do long distance hauling, some people are going to go, "Oh, well, I can't drive 500 miles across the country in it without stopping to refuel." And someone is going to say that. Someone's going to have a problem with that. But the reality is, especially if you're towing with an ice truck, your gas mileage goes way down and you're going to be stopping a whole lot more frequently for gas. Now, yes, it takes less time to fill up with gas, but when you consider the operating costs of this vehicle, it is phenomenally a lot cheaper. This is going to be ideal for a lot of people who live on the outskirts of major cities. This is going to be great for sole traders. This is going to be great for a lot of farmers, I think. As long as they're not going to be driving more than 300 miles a day, I think this is going to be a great work vehicle, especially the Pro variant. Can't wait to be able to afford help. No, you're not. No, I don't want everybody to You're very kind, Jude. Let's put it like that. No, I don't want everybody. Let me start again. Not everybody can afford to help, and that's totally okay. And financially, those who cannot afford it financially are doing more than enough by sharing and commenting and interacting, like you just did just there, Jude. So you rock. Everybody rocks. Have a syringe on me. That's probably actually quite apt. I don't even want to imagine how much all the drugs that have been pumped into Kate in the last few weeks have been. For those who are just joining us, my wife, Kate. This is not the Kate you see on the screen. That's a different Kate. There are two Kates. In fact, there are more Kates, but let's not go to the multiple Kates. My wife was very sick. She was admitted to hospital on Monday morning. She fell sick on Sunday evening and was complaining of stomach problems. She'd had a medical procedure on Friday, and so we thought it was a thank you very much, Dave. We thought that it was a knock-on to like a side effect of her procedure on Friday. So we didn't worry about it too much. We went to bed. She started being sick, vomiting, and it got worse and worse and worse. And at one point I'm like, I think you need to go to the emergency room. And we rang up the doctor who had helped with the procedure in the week, and they said you should go to the emergency room. She's like, no. Eventually she asked to go to the emergency room at 5 a.m. the next morning. We got her to the emergency room, and yeah, they gave her a CT scan, and she had appendicitis. So she had surgery very, very late on Monday. So imagine going all the way through most half of Sunday and all of Monday with appendicitis pains. And yeah, I don't know how she did it, but I'm glad that we did get her helped, because I think had she not gone into hospital, I think I might be having a very different conversation with everybody here right now. Miss my old pickup, but not the diesel part, says Stefan. Yeah, I totally believe that. Just nipped off to check my Patreon. Yep, still working. Thank you, the Laser Hive. You are an absolute wonder. Just had my appendix out as a kid. It's nasty. Yeah. Looks like Shouty Bob's about. Hi, Shouty Bob. Shouty Bob's not meant to be working today. But I love the fact that Shouty Bob, if you watch the channel regularly, you'll know the story behind Shouty Bob, and the fact that Shouty Bob is maybe not as they appear, and the level of detail that goes into Shouty Bob's rants is brilliant, including the 3 exclamation points followed by 3 ones followed by another exclamation point. That's just perfect. Shouty Bob, you are the best. It's just. Start doing the advertising. HelloFresh, Raycon, and other such projects. Just go straightforward generic consumer goods. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not gonna fib to you. There are a couple of things that we wanted to do, that we wanted to review, that we wanted to make happen, that we're not going to be able to do now. I haven't written emails to the companies in question. We were going to do a review of something that we were going to get for free in exchange for reviewing, but then we were going to have to pay to install it. So review product provided to us, but then we were going to have to pay to install it. We can't afford to pay to install it right now. So I'm going to have to reach back to that company and go, hey, do you mind us holding on that for a few months? We're not going to be able to get the Ford thing in, the vehicle to home thing yet. I don't think that's going to happen immediately, again, because of just bad luck. And the fact we live in America, and we're very lucky that we live in America, because a lot of countries are not in that same place. But there we go. Here's a treat for Ghost and a box of chocolate from Mary Kate. Thank you very much. And I love the symbol, DKK. It's one of my favorite currencies. I also like the krona of Sweden as well. Play the installer with chicken eggs. Get them to work. Yeah, we do have too many chicken eggs right now. I have been eating omelets for breakfast and basically going past the egg thing and going, oh God, I should probably have another egg, which is it's not great, but you know. And the garden is basically behind this year because it's just been one thing after another. All right, let's talk a little bit more about the F150. So there was one thing that kind of that I did see, and it was the Kilowatts did it. Can you plug an F150 Lightning into itself and charge it? And the answer was yes. No, that breaks the laws of physics, people. I'm sorry. So we could, if you're pulling power out of the back of the F150 and then feeding it back into the front through the charge port, what you're actually doing is you're draining the battery to recharge the battery, but you're draining the battery at a higher rate than you're putting power back in. So even though technically you can charge the truck and pull power out. What you're actually doing is pulling power out of the back of the truck, and then there's going to be losses in that electrical system, and you're going to be draining the battery. So please don't do that. Charge up someone else, but just don't do that. Thank you very much, David. I'm just glad that all is well. Me too. Jonathan says you could just get a transfer switch and have manual backup power. Yeah, I mean, we thought about it. We want to try and review the full system, which is why we were looking to do it, but also because we have a house out in the country, and last night we had a power cut for an hour and a half, and that was a bit of a pain in the butt. We lost some data. We're actually running on the server in the other room. It's currently 90 degrees Fahrenheit upstairs because we're running a scrub on the server in the other room because the UPS kicked in, but it didn't turn the computer off for reasons I haven't figured out yet. Maybe there'll be another hangout on take 2 after this where I'll try and figure out what went wrong. The charger would burn off the charge with heat loss in the conversions. Yeah, it would slowly drain its battery. So I am kind of ticked off that someone who should have known better actually did that. I know it's all for the lols and for the clicks and the likes, but I'm all about, I'd rather do facts than I would other stuff. Still waiting on the heat pump install. Yes, it's happening next week. And actually, thanks to the wonderful Kate Walton, Shouty Bob Elliott, we are going to be bringing, she's going to come down and help me on Saturday. We were going to do the electrical install 2 weeks ago. We went to Home Depot and we bought all the equipment we needed. I got the permits pulled from the local city council. Last weekend we were going to do it, but it was raining. So 2 weekends worth of rain. I didn't really want to do it in the rain. And then this weekend, I was going to do it with my wife and put it in. And then obviously she got appendicitis. So we ended up being in a position where it's going to just be me. And so I turned around and asked Kate Walton Elliott if she'd come down and help me. And she said yes. So thank you, Kate. She's going to come down. We're going to have to drill holes in the wall of the garage to get the power out from the power system and all the way back and then back in. Do I still have the old 12-volt inverter that we used for the Leaf DIY backup? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We do. I never said Kate Walton Elliott's Shouty Bob. I think you must be mishearing me. I'm surprised you don't put more emphasis on the sound systems in the vehicles you review, considering your background. You must be able to give a better review than most. Great story there, Ronnie. So if you look at the Volvo XC90 T8 recharge video from last year, we did. It's actually the second video that you'd ever done for us, right, Michael?
The Volvo?
The Volvo XC90 T8?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So we filmed that locally, and we were going to do an audio review. And I have some good audio equipment. I have good microphones and stuff. And we set it up. And I was going to we did a piece of music from Artlist, which we had rights to use. And then we were going to reproduce a CD that I recorded called A Read in the Wind by Julia Usher. And it has me performing on it. We got the audio played and we listened to it. And then when the video went up, the record label, which wasn't the record label I worked with, it was a different record label because the original record label was sold on. That record label then ended up saying, hey, that's ours. So, yeah, we weren't able to do that. Nikki let it out the bag. Insert Picard chuckle gif here. God, Picard season 2, wasn't that the best? It wasn't the best. It was just the best. I thought that was wonderful. I just all like, and when you know who came back on, no spoilers, when you came back on and just said, hello, Corey. And he just had that wonderful smile on his face. My wife and I were just sat there going, So no spoilers. No spoilers in the comments, because otherwise, no spoilers. See, you're sworn to secrecy. Good night from Barcelona. Hope your wife is well. Thank you very much. Yeah. Great ending, says everybody. I'm not caught up. Yeah, exactly. So we don't do that, okay? We don't do that. So yeah. All right. So we've had a little bit of a chat. We've talked about the F150 and the fact that it's better than everybody thought it would be. Everyone's really pleased with it. Let's talk about one final thing before we go. And that is the figures are in for Rivian. What are you eating? Where did that come from? This is not food. This is a sticky label. Did you pull that out of the label machine? Did you pull that out of the label machine that is right there? You tore it off perfectly to chew. You have a chew right here. Where is your chew? Dogs. I'm a dog. Everything is food. Yes. Yes. Hey, from a humid London. Nice to see you as always. Thank you, JL. JL. Is it the JL? Because we were just talking about Picard. That would have been pretty cool. That'd be cool. Yeah, Ghost is still a puppy. He is 5 months old. And so coming up on 6. He's also not had the you-know-what yet. So he's a little bit boisterous still. Right, to Rivian. Oh, no, I saw that. I saw him climbing onto Michael's lap. Don't you worry. I saw that in the corner of my eye. He does that regularly. All right, so Rivian is has announced its quarterlies for the first quarter of this year. It made $95 million, which obviously is better than last year. They didn't make any money. Now, it turned a loss of $502 million. And it's interesting to see some of the spends. So the operating expenses here were, is it or is it? Well, if it is JL, know that you are awesome. And if it's not JL, know that you are also awesome. So we very interesting to see Rivian, as I say, made a loss of 502 million, operating expenses of 1.08 billion, R&D expenses of 547 million, and it had a loss from its operations of 1.579 billion for a net loss of 1.59 billion. Its adjusted earnings per share was $1.43. Earnings per share it was a loss. So it lost $1.43 per share using the adjusted method. It doesn't actually post the unadjusted figures, but its consensus was that it was going to lose $1.35 per share. So its losses were actually larger than Wall Street thought, which is not so good. But it raised 13.7 billion at its IPO, and at the end of Q1 it had 16.97 billion cash on hand, which is not an insignificant amount of money. It says that it has 90,000 R1 net pre-orders. So that's the R1T and the R1S combined. 90,000 pre-orders. Now, I don't know how quickly that's going to migrate into actual production vehicles, and we'll have to see. But I think that Rivian is definitely in a better position than, say, Lordstown. We're actually going to be working on a video on that later this week. It's supposed to go out at the beginning of the week, but then appendicitis happened. So there we go. Just a reminder that we wanted to get to 1,300 Patreon supporters by the end of this stream, and we're currently at 1,249. So come on, help us out a bit. Lots of wonderful people supporting us through super likes and joins on the channel. So we did get some more joins, but it'd be good to see some more people supporting us on Patreon as well. Unfortunately, people are using these startups to attempt getting rich quick rather than sustaining them into production. Yeah, so what we're seeing is a lot of short sellers really going to town on Rivian and other startups. We're seeing a lot of, betting against the company, borrowing shares, betting that those shares are going to change in a way that will benefit the short sellers, not necessarily the company. And that is a bad thing. We're also seeing a lot of companies going onto the stock market through a SPAC, a special purpose acquisition company, which, as you all know, if you watch the channel regularly, I am a real hater of SPACs. I don't see the point in them. I feel that they introduce a lot of extra risk for the investors. They are, again, they're called blank check companies for a reason, and I think that they dump a lot of cash into a company that may otherwise not really have that may not really be in a position to sustain itself. And it's kind of a get rich quick scheme. It's a bit like the YouTubers who jump on and get sponsorship deals with everybody and and burn out. And I know that there are some content creators in this space who are starting to burn out, and we've been doing it for like 15 years now. There's a reason why we're slow and steady and why we do what we think. Archimoto is probably going to have a small spike soon. A ton of shorts about to squeeze themselves. I imagine it'll be a short spike, then drop back to where it should be, says Anonymous Freak. And, Anonymous Freak knows what they talk about because they own an Archimoto. So I think they've got their ear to the ground very much on that. Everyone who regrets missing out on Tesla 80 thinks lightning will strike again. Well, lightning did strike again this week with the F150 lightning reviews coming out today. And someone was saying earlier, why do they call it the lightning? I think because lightning electricity, that the kind of those two names, those two, lightning strikes, electricity is generated, and good things or bad things if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's certainly pretty, but also the performance side of it, because obviously the Lightning used to be an internal combustion engine gas sports truck, I guess is a good thing of doing it. Someone says Apple connector. Well, look, I really hope that the F150 Lightning does not have the same tendencies as this thing, which is that it tends to be very fussy about charging. It tends to break for no reason at all. And it's a proprietary cable that costs a lot of money. So I really hope that the F-150 Lightning is not like that. Yeah. How is the GM offering faring? Will they be left in the dust? I'm sorry, Ronnie's just made a joke. They did consider USB-C. That's funny. That's dad joke humor of the best offerings there. How is GM's offering faring? Will they be left in the dust? I think GM will be fine with the Silverado EV. I think Silverado, this is the interesting thing. I do not believe that GM is going after tradespeople with the Silverado EV. I genuinely do not think the Silverado is being aimed at a work audience like the F-150 is. The F-150 is squarely being aimed at people who want to use their trucks to work. It feels like the Silverado EV is being very much targeted more towards people who used to buy the Avalanche, used to want a lifestyle truck, used to want to have a truck that's maybe versatile so it can do all the things they want it to, because they don't have a trailer, because they don't know during their ownership what they're going to be doing with it. But at the same point, it's not going to have that same applicability in terms of work readiness. I'm ready to be proven wrong on that, but it just feels like the Silverado EV is not being marketed as a rugged work truck in the way that the F150 is being, the F150 Lightning is being marketed. Remember, the F150 Lightning is a body on chassis design. It's a separate setup, and it's using the everything that's come from the F150 ICE vehicle and marrying that with a brand new chassis, brand new drivetrain, battery pack. And as far as I'm aware, and please tell me if I'm wrong, the Silverado EV is a the Silverado EV is a monocoque chassis. It's a unitary construction. So there we go. The naming to me by Chevy was odd. It's absolutely the Avalanche EV. They should have released the two when they did release as Avalanche and a real Silverado EV. And I think that's the thing. You know, the Silverado EV doesn't look like a Silverado. If you put the two trucks together, they look like different trucks. It's like GM was like, we want to name it after the Silverado, which is our work truck, but we want to target it towards an Avalanche customer. And it's going to be as heavy as the Hummer, I think. You know, the Hummer is 9,000 pounds. Unibody, says Doug, lighter but less capable for towing. Like the old i3 and new i3. Yeah, I guess. Do you think that there will be a crate engine? Thank you, Lawn Gnomes. 10 Lawn Gnomes gave us $10. How very appropriate. Thank you very much, 10 Lawn Gnomes. Do you think that there will be more EV crate engine entrance to the space? What about batteries to go along with them? Absolutely. I really hope that happens because we want to see as many vehicles electrified as possible. California is working on a program, I believe, to help people convert. And I think that that's going to be something that we're going to see more and more of. We're going to have to. There's not enough resources around for everybody just to be working on brand new vehicles, and that's not sustainable either. I doubt we'll ever see the Lightning in the UK, but it's on a dedicated chassis. Maybe they could shrink it a bit for the Ranger. Yeah, the Ranger is something that I think they will be making electric. Volkswagen is working on it, I think, as well. Volkswagen and others are working on it. So there you have it. Gave you a bit of Rivian news, gave you a bit of Lightning news. I am well. I am awake, sort of. My wife is very grateful to everybody for all the kind wishes and stuff that she is doing. She is getting better, and she is at a point where I think she should be home tomorrow. So that does mean that we are going to be kind of lower than normal when it comes to our output over the next couple of days. I have an amazing team here. As you can see, this is, if you didn't watch the beginning of the video, right there is the EQS video with Kate and myself behind the wheel, and we're going to be pushing that out probably tomorrow. So there we are. She is awesome. She's been holding the fort this week while I have been out, and Erin has been amazing holding the fort and making thumbnails like the one we used for this at last minute. Yes, live spoilers. Well, if you want to watch the review and you can figure out what we're saying about the EQS just by looking there, then I'm going to be very, very surprised indeed. But this board here on the this board right here, it is completely out of whack because everything we thought was going to happen hasn't happened. So there we are. And put some doozies. Yeah, Kate Walton Elliott has put some doozies out this week. She really has. She has been amazing. And thank you to everybody. And like I say, I'm now going to go and write emails to people and say, hey, we can't do this. Oh, before we go, don't know if this has come up yet. Do you have any plans covering FCL San Diego? Why, yes, we do. If everything goes according to plan and COVID is under control, we are all going to be going to Fully Charged Live in San Diego. We'll be there. I would love to know. In fact, actually tell me in the comments below. We have a possibility of having a stall there and selling merch. We need to figure out if we can afford to set that up because that's some more money. I actually considered, and also let me know in a second. We are considering doing a merch stall. I would love to know in the comments below if you would come and buy merch at FCL and what kind of stuff you'd want to see there, because that would be something that we'd love to do. I was very interested in the Merc EQE for my dad. He's too stingy for the EQS, but still a Mercedes driver. Ian is wonderful. He has Edwin is wonderful. He has become the latest Patreon supporter over at patreon.com/Transport Evolved. The message just came in, so thank you very much. I'm making the table wobble, and I know that's bad. I'm at my standing desk. See, Ian. No, it was Ian. Ian, thank you very much. Then there's multiple Ians who support the channel. So thank you very much to Ian for becoming our new Patreon supporter. That means we do have 1,250 of you wonderful people. I really would like it if we can get it up to 1,300 soon, because we're going to have some big old medical bills. And obviously they have to be paid before we can do anything else on the channel, like I don't know, like doing all the videos that we were planning, and now we're not going to be able to plan them. So thank you very much for everyone to support. It was Ian Burton. Thank you, Ian. You rock. Know that. And Ian, I mean, you are also an and Ian, so thank you very much. Amazing. Now and Ian's. Maybe that's what I should do. We should just get the gang of Ian's at the end of our credits. Now and Ian's. Move to the UK, says Ronnie Lloyd. Okay. Should I go there? Should I say? Should I do that? I don't know if I should do that. There's a reason that we left the UK. There's a reason that we left the UK, and unfortunately, the reason that we left the UK in 2015 has proven correct. We left it in 2015, fearing that what would happen has actually happened, and it's not a safe place for me anymore. While the majority of the public are wonderful people, there are some very weird policies that are purposely coming in. Yeah, I'm a dual citizen. I have a British passport and I have an American passport. So, yes, I am an American citizen and I am a British citizen, which means I forever will have to submit my tax returns in America. America is one of the few countries in the world where if you are a citizen, you must submit your tax returns. Wherever you live in the world, you still have to do your American taxes. It is unfortunate. Not necessarily Boris, but rather some of the policies that have been perpetuated by certain popular people in the media and certain famous authors who are trying to eradicate people like me. And legislate us out of existence. Let's leave it at that. Do I plan on doing an in-depth on the home to grid for Ford and the Lightning? Yes, but it comes with a price tag, and right now I can't afford that price tag because we have medical bills. So there we are. Here's an F150 reaction. Hopefully some end up in salvage yards soon. I want them for conversions. Yeah. Yes. So there we are. Yeah, exactly. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And sure it would be nice if JK was JK. That is the best comment all day that I have seen on this channel. That is brilliant. Would be joking. Would be It would be nice if JK was JK. All right, for those who don't realize, I am going to go into it because people have pushed and asked questions. That sounded like a Morris Minor. It wasn't a Morris Minor, but it sounded like a Morris Minor. For those who don't know, I am trans. And that means that trans people have become targeted by certain people in the public eye and also politicians. It's happening in the UK quite badly right now. There's lots of transphobia, there's lots of homophobia, and there's lots of people who are being treated very badly. We have family back in the UK who are experiencing it. We have friends who are also back in the UK who are experiencing it. I don't want to put myself in that position. Did I see the Morris you sent from FCL? Yes, I did. It was very wonderful. And in the US, it's also happening. It's also coming. There are certain states in the US where I don't feel safe to travel, and members of my team don't feel safe to travel. There's also parts of the US where someone's reproductive health is not being very carefully looked after, and so we can't stand by and let that happen. It would be incredibly hypocritical for me to allow for us as a company to go to states and places that we feel are not respecting people's autonomy properly and following what has been established law for a long time. So that is why we're not going. And I know that's upset a lot of people. We've lost a lot of subscribers and we've lost a lot of supporters for that. But at the end of the day, we want the world to be cleaner, greener, safer, and smarter. And that also means being kinder to one another and looking after one another. And as an adoptive parent, I have met with plenty of people who have seen the other side of this, forced pregnancies and whatnot over the years. And very rarely does it end well for the child. So that's going to cause a lot of problem. If you've not come up with attachment disorder and issues like that, I recommend you look up reactive attachment disorder, as it's called in America. It generally happens to kids who are traumatized. Both my children had it, and it was very, very traumatic. It was a very traumatic experience being a family. For reasons that because we all had to deal with that trauma and we all had to deal with consequences that other people had made years ago, that resulted in some really terrible things happening to those kids. And I don't want to go into it because it's not right for them. But yeah, it's not a good thing, not a good look for the world, and it's not a caring or kind thing. If every child that was being allowed, every forced pregnancy resulted in that child getting free healthcare, free medical, free education, and a good start in life, it would be very different to what we're currently seeing. And I know that now I'm just going to get loads and loads of hate in the comments, but that is the way it is. That is the way it is, and that is life. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for supporting us. Oh, and yes, I should have said Oregon is both pro-choice, and it is also legislating itself to become a sanctuary state to protect trans kids and their families and trans individuals from harm from other states that would seek to do them harm. It's becoming a haven, safe haven state, which I'm very, very proud of. Oregon is mostly making some smart choices these days. Oregon has a terrible past. It really does. You should look into the history of Oregon. It has terrible, terrible racism still today. It's not a perfect state in any way, shape, or form. Oregon is Portland is a very white city, and I hate that fact. It's not very diverse. And Oregon legislated until fairly recently and did some really heinous things as a state. And some of its lawmakers have in the past done some real heinous things. So don't feel that like I'm putting it on a pedestal, because I'm not. But I am glad that it is standing up for reproductive health rights and for for a sanctuary city for trans youth, and I hope that it can better come to terms with its past as well. Oregon had redlining until fairly recently, and I hope that it is starting to come to terms with it, and I hope it can come to better terms with that in the future. So, and I hope all the states that have terrible things in their past, I think every state does, every country does, can come to terms with that. But I think we have to live the world that we want. We want to leave for our children, and we want to leave for everyone else, and we have to treat everybody with respect that they deserve and the dignity that they deserve. And that is one of the reasons why we do what we do. And I had a conversation with someone in the team earlier today about that, saying, you know, do we shoot ourselves in the foot because we don't just drop everything and go wherever our car company wants us to, and you can't buy us. And it does mean that we have to ask people for our support on a regular basis. That's why we do it. That's why we ask for people's support, because we want to be able to support the transition to cleaner, greener, safer, and smarter fuels, and make the world a better place for everybody. Thanks for joining me. Keep evolving.